All right, everyone. So we have another video from Swagkage, and this one not talking about Naruto. No, this one is going to be talking about Dragon Ball, or the best fight in Dragon Ball, the fight between Goku and Vegeta in the Saiyan arc. Now, look, there are a lot of good fights in Dragon Ball. There are a lot of them. Goku versus Frieza, Gohan versus Cell, Goku and Vegeta, this being one of them. And of course, one of my personal favorites, Goku versus Piccolo in the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai. It's just, it was such a good fight. It was absolutely amazing. And of course, Goku versus Master Roshi in the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai. The fight between him and Tien I liked, but for me not as good as the one where he went up against Master Roshi, and the one where he went up against Piccolo, of course. But dude, all of them good fights. Dude, the fights in Dragon Ball are just so well done. And not that I hate the fights in, whether, you know, some of the fights in GT, meh, they're okay, and some of the fights in Super also, they're okay. It feels like it's more focused on just action as opposed to like actual fighting between them, because one thing that Toriyama was really good at is incorporating actual strategy into the fight. It didn't feel like it was just like a fight between two people and there's no story behind it. We did get that in my opinion in the Broly movie. We did definitely get that, especially in the fight between Broly and Gogeta. That was really good. Now, according to Swag, the best fight in all of Dragon Ball is the fight between Goku and Vegeta in the Saiyan arc, at least based on the thumbnail. So let's go ahead and watch this and see what he thinks about the fight between Goku and Vegeta and why it's the best fight in Dragon Ball. But as always, guys, like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. Everything the YouTube algorithm loves. Comment down below on your thoughts on this fight, and check the description for links.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's your boy Swagkage. Today I brought a friend with me. It's not Seth for once. It's my buddy Smugstick. We've known each other for a while, so I'm just gonna call him Luis. He's just gonna call me Rob, but feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi guys, Luis.
So
Smugstick.
anyway, no,
okay.
No.
I'm Luis Smugstick. I do Dragon Ball videos.
Anyway, so in case the thumbnail didn't tip you off, we're gonna be talking about what
Gotta be careful here.
we feel the best fight in Dragon Ball is. For me, it's like my actual personal favorite. Well, I don't know if it's my personal favorite, but it is one that I often like. I pretty much tell everybody I know. Yeah, this is the best fight in Dragon Ball. Original manga GT.
So I want to ask you guys this question. Let me know, in your opinion, what is the best fight? Not your favorite. In your opinion, the best fight in all of Dragon Ball. And I'm just talking about the original Dragon Ball manga, no GT. Yeah, actually, you know what? Screw it. GT, Super, whatever you want, whatever it is. Let me know what, in your opinion, is the best fight objectively, as in from choreography, story, writing, all of that. Best fight in Dragon Ball, and then let me know your own personal favorite, because sometimes those two are not the same. Because sometimes I could think this is, in my opinion, the best fight from a writing perspective, but this one here, this is my own personal favorite fight, and you have your own reason as to why that's your personal favorite fight, and even though you believe that it's not objectively the best fight in the entire series. So let me know that in the comment section.
Super everything. I don't think anything competes. I know he told me before that he has some fights that he likes better personally, and I'm not really sure. I'm pretty sure this is the one that I like the best though. But regardless, I definitely think that if I'm looking at this objectively, that this is probably the best fight. And I don't mean to say that in a way that's like you're correct if you say that this fight is the best. When I say objectively, I more mean stripping, like looking at it without letting emotion influence it. You know.
Yeah, completely. I agree. Like you said, I have a lot of opinions about the different fights in Dragon
God, this was a pretty good fight. The fight between Goku and Vegeta.
Ball, and I don't think this is my absolute favorite one. But I think looking at everything around it, the fight itself, I just think this is what encapsulates the very best that Dragon Ball brings to the table. Like, for example, I totally love the Majin Vegeta fight, the Kid Buu fight because of the way he uses his body, but I think Goku versus Jackie Chun might be my favorite one, just because of the
That's a
emotional
really good fight.
value around the whole thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, so there's like a lot of stuff in Dragon Ball that like does the same stuff that this fight does. Like there are a lot of scenes that were either done before or would be done later. There are a lot of dynamics that this fight shares with other fights in Dragon Ball. In particular, I think that a lot of the fights from Z sort of copy the formula that this fight has, where like the villain will start out beating the protagonist, and then the protagonist will power up and start beating up the bad guy.
Start beating up the bad guy,
the
yeah.
bad guy will power up and then start beating the protagonist. And at some point throughout this exchange, they'll get really mad and try to blow up the planet. It happens like literally every time.
It does happen a lot.
With every like climax battle.
It happened with Frieza, it happened with Cell. It did actually happen with Boo. Boo actually managed to successfully destroy the planets. And yeah, that is a formula that did kind of get used. And in my opinion, is kind of why the fights in the Z part of the story, or I guess in the second half of Dragon Ball, in my opinion, are not as good as the fights in OG Dragon Ball. Like all the fights in the Tenkaichi Budokai, like there was none of that. There was no threatening to destroy the planet, or I guess there was. Well, with Piccolo, there was just the threat of him taking over the planet, not so much destroying it. But yeah, you didn't get that with Ten Shinhan. You didn't get that with Roshi. And one thing that I loved about the fights in the Tenkaichi Budokai, and even the King Piccolo fight, and of course you had the Piccolo Jr. fight in the Tenkaichi Budokai, is that there was none of the power-up stuff. Like there was none of that. Both fighters went into the match, each of them being as strong as they were, and both of them just using their abilities to win the fight, you know? And there was no like getting mad, there was no rage boost, there was no transformations, all of that. It's just to me that's just a lot better, as opposed to something happens that triggers the main character to go through a rage boost and just explode in power, and they have now the powers to just easily destroy the villain, and then of course they get mad and try to destroy the planet and blah blah blah. It's just whatever.
In Dragon Ball afterwards, I feel like you can kind of tell that this is where all that stuff began. I don't know, I feel like Vegeta's pride and all of the other aspects of his character that lead him to get really mad when he gets injured by Goku, that lead him to be like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna blow up the planet. I feel like it comes a lot more naturally to him, and it doesn't feel like, yeah, okay, I guess we're doing this again, you know what I mean?
This one sets a lot of trends that continue on for the later of the series, like you said. For example, the beam struggle is really probably the most iconic one here. Of course, we've seen that before with Jackie Chun versus Goku, or Piccolo versus Goku, but this one, and
yeah, again, I'm trying to be even more careful than I am with some of the other stuff, because again, if you've been on YouTube, you probably already know how Toei is like when it comes to copyright, so I gotta be really, really careful here.
The Cell one is probably the one that people remember the most.
Yeah, it's this one and the Cell one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Reading it again with the full color manga, I realized just how bloody it is. It's probably one of the most visceral fights in all of Dragon Ball. Everybody's struggling, everybody's on the ground, on their last breath. They're trying their very best to do what they can to defeat Vegeta, or Vegeta to defeat Goku. It's just incredible all around.
One thing that's so like weird about this fight is it feels a lot more grounded than a lot of the stuff that comes before and after it. And that's really weird to say, because it's the arc where like aliens are introduced and we find out that Goku is an alien, and then they like come in and like one of them lifts up his fingers and blows up a whole city. It's like
eviscerates
really weird,
an entire city.
But I mean, like the progression of events, all the character motivations, everything feel a lot more natural. Like Raditz goes there to check on his brother, and then while he's there, he ends up transmitting, unbeknownst to the heroes, that there are wish-granting Dragon Balls on the planet, which catches the attention of his comrades, who you would assume he has comrades anyway. He's dressed in this like military gear, so you'd think he works with people. and then those people, you know, they're really interested in the ability to grant wishes. So they show up, and it's really that simple. And, you know, it seems a lot more digestible than, like, you know, way back before the time skip. This one guy that you never even met made these androids that are stronger than Frieza. It seems a lot more believable than, like, a rogue god traveling through time to, like, wipe out all life ever.
Sorry, I just want to hear this again, just one more time.
This in the ability to grant wishes. So they show up, and it's really that simple. And, you know, it seems a lot more digestible than, like, you know, way back before the time skip. This one guy that you never even met made these androids that are stronger than Frieza.
And not just stronger than Goku, but stronger than Frieza, who could, like, who was a threat to an entire galaxy or just the entire universe. And that's kind of where Dragon Ball was kind of getting to the point of, okay, it's getting to be a bit much, and that's where it kind of fell into the problem of you know, shonen power escalation or power cliffing, to where every time a new story starts, you're always up against an even stronger, more deadlier opponent. And it's just, I will say this, in Dragon Ball, it's, I would say, maybe a little bit more believable, because Dragon Ball from the beginning has always been like, you got the sense that in this world there are things that can happen that, you know, would probably never happen in our life, or excuse me, in our world, or at least maybe not in our lifetime, maybe sometime like thousands of years into the future, something like this might happen again. Maybe, we don't know. But yeah, even then, when you think about it, it is kind of hard to believe that this guy who just gets introduced out of nowhere, and all of a sudden he somehow, again, like they said, before the time skip, so before all of this, was able to create cyborgs who are even stronger than Super Saiyan, stronger than Frieza, who was already shown to be capable of destroying planets like they're nothing. Just, it does get to be it does get to a point where it's a little bit hard to believe, where it gets a little bit hard to suspend your disbelief, because, like, okay, hold on, that seems a bit, I don't know, that seems a bit much. It hadn't gone too far yet, but yeah, the android arc, I would say, or the artificial humans arc, excuse me, as I should say, is kind of where it started to get a bit too much, where it was getting close to crossing that line of, okay, hold on, this is just, no, come on, this is a bit much. The Boo arc, in my opinion, did kind of cross that line, and ever since then, there's a new line that gets crossed, and then there's another line that gets crossed, and so on and so on and so on. It's just, okay, you're doing this now, all right.
It seems a lot more believable than, like, a rogue god traveling through time to, like, wipe out all life ever.
Dude, this arc was fucking trash.
And then, like, the Tournament of Power is about as contrived as it gets.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very scaled.
I mean, it did get hinted at with the well, first it was hinted at with the multiverse at the end of Battle of Gods, and then of course you had the Universe 6 versus Universe 7 tournament, where Zeno said, hey, let's do something like this with all the universes, with the exceptions of, I think it was 1, 3, like 8 and 12, if I remember correctly. Or no, I think it was 1, 3, 5, and 12. Yeah, I think it was those 4 universes that were an exception, because apparently something about the mortal level or something, whatever the fuck, was higher than, I think it was 7 or something. So I think it was like a 7 or higher, so they were spared. And to me personally, it just felt like it was kind of contrived, because they realized that if they included those universes, then they would need to come up with more characters. So they just needed a reason to not include, like, some of the universes, because that way it would exclude them from having to create 40 more characters, because remember, there's supposed to be 10 from each universe. So yeah. But yeah, I do agree. It just, it is a bit contrived. I do agree with that.
Held back in comparison in the Saiyan saga, and, like, I don't know, it feels a lot less grand and over the top when, like, again, Vegeta and Nappa, they're just there because they want immortality.
There's also just so many iconic moments. First of all, the dialogue that Toriyama uses it's used in, like, every Dragon Ball video game, and for a good reason.
Yeah.
Introduction between Goku and Vegeta when they're about to fight. The stuff about, oh, I'm the wall that you can't climb over. It's just great.
Yeah, or, you know, try dodging this one if you can, but if you do, your precious Earth will be destroyed. That stuff's so good.
Dude, I miss when Dragon Ball used to look like this. Like I mean the Shintani style that we saw in the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, like that came close to this, but dude, I feel like Dragon Ball in terms of art never got better than this. Like later on, it was when I think it was during the beginning of the Frieza arc when you saw Yamamoro sort of take over more. I could be wrong on that, but it's where they sort of shifted to this style of, you know, looking like they did in the later part of the Buu arc, and then into the Artificial Humans arc, and then of course the Buu saga, and then like in the Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, and they were the designs did change a bit, but they just felt so stiff. And I've always really liked this, how it looked kind of like the manga, as opposed to having its own unique or having its look that just felt like it wasn't even in the same. It's hard to explain. It felt too clean, is what I'm trying to say. It felt like too clean, whereas this, it felt whereas this, whenever they got into a fight, like you would see the scratches and all of that, and it got to show you just how brutal the fight actually was. But in Dragon Ball Super is the most egregious example of this, was where they would go through a fight, but they would still barely have any scratches on them. Even when they go through the trouble of tearing their clothes, they still looked really clean. Like there was no scratches, no blood, nothing. It just looked so sanitized. And it was just like I wasn't a fan of it. I really hope that moving forward they do start to look more like this.
So good.
Yeah.
I mentioned the beam clash, but also Vegeta becoming an Ozaru, which I think it's great because we've already seen a transformation like this before, and we can gauge how powerful this stuff like this can
Make it look more like
Not
this.
to mention how Goku is a low-class warrior that was sent to just die. I think that's worked really well, how he turns out to be the one to challenge the super elite. And Vegeta even says himself, going back to the dialogue, how could this be? You drew blood from me, a noble. I think Vegeta might be at his best during this fight.
A good thing to compare this to is like another transformation that soon follows is like, so when Frieza transforms, the reason you're scared, like you have no fucking clue, like you can't really infer anything from his appearance alone, and it's only really the fact that like Zarbon's transformed before that makes you go like, okay, well, maybe this might be a little bit scary if Frieza's gotten a similar power-up. And then he has to say, like, my power level in this form is over 1 million for you to be like, oh, wow, that's a really big number. That's kind of scary. Whereas when Vegeta transforms, you know what an Ozaru is, because Goku's done it multiple times before. Now, I always thought this was really weird, honestly, that he was able to kill Gohan as a great ape, because like he was supposed to be like the strongest fucking guy like ever in the whole, like everybody knows who he is, and he like lost to like baby Goku transformed into an Ozaru.
I've never thought about that. That's so weird.
But like that's how strong the transformation is. And now
I mean, I guess you could say that maybe like Toriyama didn't really think about it at the time, because I think Toriyama is known for being a guy who like writes things as he goes along, so maybe you could say he didn't really think about it at the time. And I've always tried to explain that in a way that he was so shocked by the transformation that he didn't even realize what was going on. But even then, like, I recognize that's a bit of a leap. It is a bit of a leap, but yeah, it does kind of not really make sense when you think about it.
We have to see Goku going up against somebody who is already stronger than him, who is now using that like overwhelming power against him. And I mean, it's just like really scary. I think it's like the scene of like Vegeta like roaring as he like expands into the Great Ape is like, it's one of the scariest shots in the whole series, because like more than just like the Great Ape transformation, it draws on like a lot of stuff that's come before, specifically stuff from the Saiyan arc. Like Raditz is used to build Nappa and Vegeta up, and then Nappa is used to build up Vegeta. And Raditz was already ridiculously strong when he showed up, and then Nappa fucking killed everybody. And like you already know Vegeta's way stronger than Nappa because Nappa's terrified of him.
He's scared shitless.
As soon as the fight begins, and like Vegeta's just like, you know, dealing with like Goku, like even when Goku's using the Kaioken, you're like, man, yeah, how is Goku gonna beat this guy? And then he uses the Great Ape transformation on top of that, and you're just like, oh wow. I guess you could apply the same thing to Frieza, but like by the time that Frieza's in his final form, this like you've kind of gone through the same sensation like 3 times, and I feel like you're a bit more numb to it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, when Frieza first transforms, it is pretty terrible. Like when he first transforms in all 3 of his forms, it's kind of terrifying, but that doesn't happen in his fight with Goku, which is, I think, the best fight of the Namek saga. Whereas that does happen here in the fight against Vegeta. And I mean, I think it's one of the best parts of the fight, especially after that. Everything starts to feel really chaotic because, like, you know, Goku is obviously overwhelmed. Krillin and Gohan have to show up and try and help him. And then, like, once Yajirobe comes in and cuts off Vegeta's tail and saves the day, it's just both sides scrambling and fighting and clawing to try and get an advantage over the other. And it's just so cool.
Yeah, it's so awesome because it goes up and down and up and down for both of them.
That's the thing. That's the thing that made this fight so interesting because, like, it keeps changing. Like, at one point, the good guys have the advantage, and then at one point the bad guy gets the advantage back, and then it just keeps switching back and forth, and we're like, okay, what's going to happen? Like, how are they going to get out of this? What's going to be the outcome? And it's just like that thing that keeps the fight interesting. And also, I just want to comment real quick. Looking at these, it's reminding me how good the Dragon Ball just manga used to look. I mean, just in my opinion, the artwork when it comes to Dragon Ball, at least in manga format, it's never looked as good as it did in the Saiyan arc. Like, in my opinion, that's where it kind of started to, like, the Saiyan arc hit its peak, and then it slowly dips down when the Namek saga is going. It's still good. Don't get me wrong, it's still good, but you do start to see a bit of a, like, it's not drawn as well as it was in the Saiyan arc. And during the Artificial Humans arc, that's when you started to see things kind of change. Again, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it was bad. It was still good, really good. The Buu saga is where you started to see sort of a more significant change. And you started to see, okay, yeah, it's not really as good as it used to be. Still good, but not as good as it was in the Artificial Humans arc. Not the Frieza arc, and definitely not in the Saiyan arc. It's just yeah. And in Super, it's like, dude, don't even compare them. Like, I do think Toyotaro has improved as an artist, but he's still nowhere close to being as good as Toriyama. Maybe he will one day, but as of now, no. And I am seeing improvements in his artwork.
It's just so cool.
Yeah, it's so awesome because it goes up and down for both of them. It's crazy to see everybody so helpless, both Vegeta and the heroes. Goku's on the ground, his legs are broken from the fight against the Ozaru.
Yeah.
Gohan tries to step in, he can't do anything. He becomes an Ozaru. He fucking destroys Vegeta for a second until his tail gets cut off.
Yeah.
Vegeta's legs are hurt, he can't do anything. And then finally, Krillin tries to do something.
Yeah.
He gets stopped. It's just it never ends. And I forget to mention, but the Spirit Bomb, the Genki Dama against Vegeta, it doesn't get mentioned much when people talk about this attack, but it's incredible. Goku entrusting the power of Earth to his best friend, it's such a good scene. And Krillin's awesome in it. All his friends are dead. He's alone. He has to do this. You know, you really see that he's scared, but he's willing to do anything at this point.
Vegeta is so cool, by the way. When people talk about like their favorite Dragon Ball villains, I mean, I usually see them say it's like Frieza or Cell or like Piccolo. Sometimes people say Buu. He's a lot less common, but nobody ever talks about Vegeta. And Vegeta's my favorite villain. From Z.
And maybe it's because like it has to do with Vegeta not really being a villain anymore, so they kind of forget that he was at one point.
Piccolo,
maybe that's why you don't see him
a close
as
contender. I might like him a little bit more. But Vegeta's definitely my favorite Z villain. Because like,
dude, look at this. Seriously, look how well this is drawn. There's nothing in Super that I can say is as good as this.
He clearly has character.
And I'm just talking about this one panel. Just this one panel alone trumps 90% of the Super manga. Maybe you can find like one or two panels that are as good, maybe an entire page that's actually as good as this. But it's like, no, dude, it's not even close.
Because like, he clearly has character flaws. Like, right from the beginning of the fight, he's kind of being a jackass and isn't taking things seriously. And even when he transforms into in Ozaru, he continues to do this. He's like, "Oh, oops, Goku, did I let you live? Whoops, my mistake. I guess I'll have to work on my aim next time." And you know, that's one of the reasons why he loses. But when he like actually starts trying, he's like clearly very smart and capable, you know, like, and I think a lot of this is communicated just through his expressions and the way he moves. Like, seeing him hop back and forth between like flying and then like ground combat, you know, like when you see him like sprinting and stuff, he's very effective at doing both. Like one of the more subtle things is when Yajirobe like blows Krillin's cover by calling out to him and saying like, "Hey, go ahead and throw the spirit bomb." Vegeta immediately, like, you see him like instantly look over his shoulder.
Yeah.
And like he's
oh,
still
dude, that was such a dumb move by Yajirobe. It's like, why the hell would you give them away?
running at full speed. He doesn't stop or anything. I don't know if any of the other villains in the
I don't
same
think they
position
would have,
stopped,
no.
but I wouldn't be surprised. You know, it feels very Dragon Ball-y for like if Cell was flying towards somebody and then somebody had charged up a spirit bomb, and Yajirobe had been like, "Hey, throw the spirit bomb." You know, Cell might stop in his tracks and then look and then get hit by it. But like Vegeta, you know, he turns around and Krillin chucks it and Vegeta just fucking hops over it. It's so cool.
Yeah,
there's stuff like that
awesome.
all throughout the fight, and I mean, like, I don't know, like you can tell he's got battlefield experience, but you can tell it comes from a very different place than Goku's. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so cool that you say that, because it goes so well with the theme of the story about him being an elite and Goku being a low-class warrior.
Yeah.
And especially since he was trained on Earth, yeah, it's completely different in the way they fight. But it's also really funny that you talk about how Vegeta is just a complete dick to Goku the whole time.
Yeah.
When like I have the manga open right here, and when Goku uses the Kaioken when Vegeta's on Nozaru, Goku just runs out of power for a second, and Vegeta just hops over to him, and just see this giant monkey jumping, saying, "Don't die, boy, before I can kill you."
Yeah, exactly.
It's so perfect. It's so perfect. The way the Kaioken is used in this fight is also super cool, because it got this build up, more so in the anime than in the manga. It got this huge build up to see exactly how powerful it could be. You know, it's super dangerous and stuff like that. And then Goku finally uses it against Nappa, and it's incredible. Nappa gets defeated almost instantly, and it's super cool. But that doesn't matter to Vegeta at all. Even he says,
care.
"Oh, you were doing better when you were fighting
Like,
against
yeah,
Nappa. What happened?" And the Kaioken just means nothing to Vegeta up until he starts using a little more higher up levels, and he can finally match up against the Prince. But up until that point, you just feel helpless for Goku, honestly.
Well, no. Let me go back. Yeah, I wanted to talk about the Kaioken. The Kaioken is one of the coolest things about the fight, because like Vegeta's like obviously stronger than like base Goku. He's even stronger than Goku when he doubles his power with the Kaioken.
Yeah.
Double, like Kaioken times 2.
He needed to triple his power and then quadruple it later on, even though King Kai warned him, it's like, your body can't handle more than 2. It can't handle more than that. But he realized, yeah, I kind of have to if I want to beat this guy.
2 is the max that King Kai let Goku do, right?
And you also kind of got the feeling that Goku wanted to do it just because he wanted to test whether or not it's actually possible for him to handle it.
Any more than that,
because that's what Goku likes to do. He likes to test himself.
That King Kai is like, it's suicide, you'll destroy your body. But that's like the only way that Goku can like damage Vegeta. So you see him like bit by bit start to crank it up.
You know, I've always wondered why Vegeta never used this ability again. Like this energy ball that kind of looks like it's on fire. I've always wondered why he never used it again, because it looks pretty freaking cool.
Kaioken times 3, Vegeta stands no chance.
Yeah, no. In fact, that's when he starts to sort of panic, because he's like, wait a minute, this guy's a low-class warrior. How the hell is he able to injure me? This shouldn't even be possible.
It becomes like a one-sided slaughter in Goku's favor. The tables turn completely. And then Vegeta uses the Galactico. All of a sudden, Kaioken times 3 isn't enough, so Goku has to crank it up again to Kaioken times 4.
Still, I would say the most iconic beam struggle in the entire series. Like nothing else. As much as I love the Gohan and Cell Kamehameha beam struggle, and I think that's probably my own personal favorite beam struggle, I will say this is the best one, because this is the most iconic one in the entire series.
And you're just like, oh my god, like
even though it's not the first one.
Even if Goku wins and overpowers Vegeta, you know, how is he going to be able to handle the strain of, you know, he's overdoing himself, and you're worried throughout the whole fight that he's going to end up getting himself killed. And it's just such a cool dynamic that isn't present in any other fight, really.
Yeah, completely. And I think it's super cool because it's different from the Super Saiyan transformations, because with those, you don't have something tangible to compare yourself to in power. Nobody screams out, oh yeah, the Super Saiyan, that's times 50 during the fight, you know? With the
Yeah, I mean, it's like the only reason why we know it's a times 50 is because of the data books. Like, we needed supplementary material to be able to tell us just how much it powers them up.
Kaioken, with the Kaioken, Goku says times 4, and you can see it adding on top of each other. You know, so it's you get a lot more of a sense of how strong Goku's becoming. As the fight goes on than anything else, you know.
After the beam struggle, it kind of becomes irrelevant, and it's just a way for Goku to avoid attacks. But still, that brief period in the fight where it's like vital to Goku's ability to do anything to Vegeta is really cool. Honestly, I think that's all I have to say about it. I just think it's super cool and unique. Even right down to the ending, like the fight ends with Gohan mid D-transformation falling on top of Vegeta and crushing him. Like every other fight ends with the person being consumed by an energy blast. In Dragon Ball Z, I mean. But, you know, Vegeta gets crushed by a little boy, and then he's just, you know, underneath a naked child's body right at the end. It's so weird, and I mean, I think it's really cool.
It's very different from anything else we see, and it also, we didn't get to mention that a lot, but a bunch of other characters also take place during the fight. Krillin gets to do stuff, Gohan gets to do stuff. Yeah, Jirobe never gets to do anything again in his life. Yeah. But it's really cool to see them using team tactics, you know, oh, I'll give you the spirit bomb, throw it over there. Oh, you missed, Gohan do something. It's cool to see stuff like that. And this really helps for the next time.
And that's, if I'm being honest, that's one of the things that I really liked about this the versus Vegeta
them
fight.
Using team tactics, you know, oh, I'll give you the spirit bomb, throw it over there. Oh, you missed, Gohan do something. It's cool to see stuff like that. And this really helps for.
So what I wanted to say is that's another thing that I liked about the fight against Vegeta, is that it required multiple people to be able to gain that outcome, as opposed to what it feels like now with Super, where it's just, no, let's just rely on Goku and Vegeta. Just let them do everything. Like, let's us not contribute in any way, shape, or form to the final fight. Now, we did kind of get that in the Moro arc at the end. That was nice to see. It was nice to see them actually be able to contribute in some way and not just be there to sort of be like to provide commentary. They weren't there to just be Goku and Vegeta's cheerleaders, even though I kind of wish they would have actually done, like, be part of the actual fight against Moro, like actually fight, as opposed to just be there to end up getting their asses kicked by him. And then, of course, Goku shows up with Ultra Instinct and just starts destroying him. And then Moro absorbs Planet, and Goku has to destroy Jewel to be able to take him out, which I still haven't figured out how that works. But whatever. Yeah, we kind of never really got that afterwards. It's just, let's rely on the strongest person there to be able to do anything, and everyone else just sit on the sidelines and watch, which yeah.
For the next time we see Vegeta, because Vegeta shows up on Namek.
Although, to be fair, that was available in the original Dragon Ball manga too, with the I mean, the Tenkaichi Budokai kind of made sense because it is a one-on-one fight, but it was there, if we're being fair. It wasn't just in Super.
But suddenly there's a bunch of other people that were stronger than him, and you're like, oh my god, it took like 5 people to defeat Vegeta alone. How are we gonna ever defeat Frieza, Dodoria, all these other characters? And also, real quick, the setting is probably one of the most iconic ones in Dragon Ball. Just this rocket formation. Goku and Vegeta had that iconic
They even recreated it at the end of the Super anime because, hey, nostalgia bait.
Stare down, once towards the bottom, once towards the top, obviously representing the elite versus the low class Saiyan. And in the full color manga, at least, you see it go from day to dawn to dusk. It's beautiful to see, honestly.
Krillin specifically isn't really instrumental in like anything like this again. Like, he's obviously really important in the Namek arc because he's one of the main characters until Goku gets there, but in like fights he doesn't really do diddly squat. He's like, he sort of stalls against Frieza, but first of all, that's played more for laughs, and second of all, that's just so that Piccolo can get there. But like, when Krillin's pitching in against Vegeta, it's to defeat Vegeta. Like, there's no one else that's going to show up. It's just him, Goku, Gohan, and Yajirobe. The fact that Krillin was able to put him where it's just so cool. You know, it's a shame to see that Dragon Ball has mostly become the Goku and Vegeta show in the present day. Like, even without giving characters weird contrived power-ups, it's totally possible to give them a meaningful role in fights, as you see here. I guess as long as like the power gap isn't as like humongous as it is now in Super, you know, like it. Like, I would just love to see stuff like this happen again, because Vegeta wouldn't have lost if any one of the 3 people there had been absent. Vegeta would have won. You know, like Gohan, Krillin, Yajirobe, and Goku. Even Goku, while he was crippled, all did their part.
It felt like they were all necessary.
It's so cool. I love this fight so much.
Yeah, me too. Also, Toriyama's art, just perfect, but I don't think we need to say anything about that.
I mean, yeah, it's always on point, really. Toriyama is just a really great artist.
He is.
Yeah,
he's
I know
fantastic.
a lot of people know this already, but the way he does his paneling is really cool. The fight flows so well. You go tanan tanan tanan. It's just the motion of all the characters.
It flows beautifully from one panel to the next, and this is something that I do mention in my reviews of the Super manga, which is, I know most people don't care. I know, but I kind of care about it, and I know there's probably other people out there who do. But that's one of the things that I always felt was kind of missing from the Super manga, is that, you know, that the way the panels just flow from one to the next, and it is kind of there now. That's where I will say Toyotaro did kind of improve as an artist, but I feel like it's still not on the level that Toriyama did, especially in the Saiyan arc.
It's like watching waves, honestly, if I'm using a metaphor. It's just really cool to see in motion. I wouldn't even have blamed them if they never made an anime, because it just looks that good. I love this fight. You reminded me how much I loved it, because I think actually talking about it through here, I might have changed my mind a little, and maybe this is my favorite fight.
I think so too. The only other one that like competes with it for me is when Goku transforms into a Super Saiyan against Frieza, but that has more to do with like character stuff than the actual fight itself.
Yeah, I like other ones like the Majin Vegeta fight, which is very emotional as well. But this one, the stakes are just so high, you know?
Yeah, I definitely think it's in a league of its own. The only one that really compares is Junior versus Goku during the World Martial Arts Tournament at the end of Dragon Ball. Anyway, I think that's everything that I have to say. Do you have anything else you want to add?
God, there's just a lot to say this. We mostly talked about the manga, but in the anime, the soundtrack is really good, at least in the Japanese version. The voice acting of Masako Nozawa, Ryo Horikawa, incredible. But we could talk about this forever.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Thanks for coming on, Luis. As always, if you guys have any opinions of your own, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I want to hear what everybody's favorite
Yeah, see, this is that clean look that I was talking about. It's just
fight is. You can just tell me.
And I know most of it is because they switched from like traditional to digital, so it was kind of bound to be cleaner. But I don't necessarily think that that's necessarily like something that's going to stop them. Because again, look at how the Broly movie looked. That looked almost close to how the Dragon Ball anime used to look, and I feel like it is possible to make it look like that. It's not something that's kind of stopping them from going back to how it was. Like, it's not like they need to go back to animating on paper, which I think they actually still kind of do. I don't think they've stopped doing that. I still think they use computers to, scan them and then put them in the program and, just finish everything off, because I do think, if I remember correctly, they still use paper to actually draw on.
What it is, or you can leave an essay alongside it. I don't really care. Make sure you go and subscribe to my buddy Luis. He
Again, link in the description.
makes pretty good videos.
Yeah, that's me, Smugstick. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for watching the video, guys.
And yeah. Till next time, talk to you later. Swaikage out. Bye.
Okay, so I think that's the end of the video. Yeah, so there you go. That's the end of the video, and I'm gonna end this real quick because this is already going on for way longer than it needed to be. We're already at the 40-minute mark. So okay, here's the thing. Everything they said about the fight, I absolutely agree with. It is an absolutely fantastic fight. Is it my own personal favorite? Maybe not, but do I think that it is objectively the best? I think it might be. I think it might genuinely be the best fight in the series. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know all that in the comments. And like I said before, what's your personal favorite fight, and what do you think objectively is the best fight in all of Dragon Ball? And you can include GT and Super there. I don't know if there are. I don't think there are games that have their own unique fight that isn't in the manga or the anime. But it's whatever your own personal favorite fight is. Let me know what it is, and also what you think is objectively the best fight in all of Dragon Ball in terms of writing. With that being said, guys, thank you so much again for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any recommendations, let me know in the comment section down below, and I hope you'll join me for my next reaction. Bye for now.